Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to do something that I've been meaning to do for a while, and that is to test out the Jazzas Arty Games app. So I'm using an Android phone for this. I've just downloaded it. I haven't played around with it yet, but I've seen it in other videos, including Jazzas. So it's got a lot of fun challenges on it. There are a lot. Let's take a quick look. There's a colour challenge, character challenge, environment challenge, scribbles, incremental challenge, I don't know what that one is, copy challenge, custom generator, and design mix challenge. The custom generator I think will be really good, and I'm hoping to use that for a few videos in the future for character creation and dragon design and things like that. But the one I'm going to try today is the character challenge. So what this will do is it will generate, I think, 3 random prompts. From what I've seen, they can be really silly and random, and probably not the kind of thing I would normally draw, so I am a little bit nervous about this. So let's give it a go. So we got an angelic sorceress wearing a corset eating breakfast in bed. Okay, I have no idea how to start this, but wish me luck for this one. The angelic sorceress wearing a corset, I think I can do anyway. I've drawn plenty of pin-ups, so I'm pretty comfortable with that one. But the eating breakfast in bed, I can honestly say that is not something I've ever drawn. So this is definitely a bit new for me. Part of me was tempted to just keep pressing the button and re-rolling the dice until I got something different, but that would of course be cheating. And of course she saw me do it on camera as well, so I wouldn't have got away with it. So I brought this into Photoshop, just using a brush that I made for sketching. And I did start by finding a little bit of reference for this online. Basically just someone sat in a bed, but it was just so that I could picture it, just so that I had somewhere to start, because I was a little bit lost with this. And the idea was going to be that this lady, this sorceress, is going to be sat up in bed against a pillow. Although I haven't actually drawn her eating breakfast, I've drawn her with her breakfast. I tried to draw it so that she's using some of her magical powers as a sorceress. So she's got a bowl of Cheerios that she's using magic to get out of the bowl. I couldn't think of how else to do it, and I thought this might work. I've seen Jazza draw some crazy things from this app before, and they actually turn out really good. I hear a lot of people saying these apps are the best for getting past like art block. So when you're struggling and you don't know what to draw. So again, it's not the kind of thing I would have normally drawn, but this made me do it, and it turned out to be quite a lot of fun. And other than gathering the initial reference of someone just sat up in a bed, which is pretty basic and I probably didn't need, aside from that, I didn't actually use much reference, so this didn't take too long. I think the sketch I ended up spending maybe up to an hour on by the time the sketch was done. I was then going to refresh the prompts so that I had a few different ones, because I noticed in a few people's videos they normally do a few different ones and just quick sketches. But because I was quite happy with the way this turned out, I actually wanted to colour it. Again, I didn't want to spend ages doing it. With it being one that I didn't use reference for, it wasn't going to be perfect. There's going to be tons of mistakes. I'm sure proportions are off in various parts. But I was actually pleased with it, so I wanted to add a bit of colour. It's not super realistic, but it's not really cartoony either. I wasn't sure which direction I was going to go with it. I just decided to start and see how it went. And I'll post the finished piece on my social media as well, so you can see my Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at the bottom of the screen. I'll put the links in the description box below for those that are interested. A big thank you to anyone that already does follow me. So once I was happy with my sketch, I next moved on to the colour. This was just on a layer below the sketch. And I'm going to start just by blocking in some basic flat colours. So I start with a light skin tone, for example. And I'm trying my best to fill all the areas where appropriate. I normally zoom in quite a bit to get this right against the edges, but when you're watching a sped up video like this, if I zoom in and out, it's not as fun to watch, to be honest. So I tried where I could to stay zoomed out to a similar level throughout. I do still zoom in and out a bit though. I decided to put the hair on a different layer, again starting with a flat layer. I think I ended up with a couple of layers, but the main ones were probably the skin tone, the hair, one for the corset, and then I had one or two for like the sheets and the pillows and her eyes, because I decided to give her purple eyes, which you'll see soon, just because I needed something to give her more of an enchantress or a sorceress feel, something a bit magical about it. Although hopefully the Cheerios being pulled magically out of the bowl is enough of a hint to be magical, but yeah. So I mentioned earlier on that I thought this app could be quite cool for designing creatures. And what I mean by that is basically the same way we're doing this now, where it has different criteria, different prompts, where it selects them randomly. You can actually do a custom one of these, so you can spend a little bit of time typing in what you want to do. So for example, you could have an animal list different animals, texture list, different skin types, scales, human skin, rock element. I don't know, you could do absolutely anything with it, I guess. But I'm tempted to input a few like that and then randomly generate it for maybe a dragon design or maybe just a monster creature design in general. I feel like it could be a pretty cool idea, but we'll see whether there is enough interest. There's plenty of other challenges on this app as well, as you saw at the beginning, so I could always try some of those at some point too, but I think this one is going to be the most fun. They do have timers as well, but I decided not to bother with a timer on this one. I'm not sure if that's cheating or not, but I wanted to spend more time on this. So I gave her the purple eyes there. I thought that was, again, a bit more magical. I thought that was pretty cool. I was going to give her purple lips as well, and I did start with that, but I can't remember if I make them a little bit more red or whether I left them at purple in the end. I'm not very good with makeup choices and knowing what would look good and bad, but I think we can get away with it a little bit when it's a sorceress. So you've seen there, once I had some of the flats in, I then start going in with a layer of shading. At first, I did do it as more of a cell shading type, so I just had one darker colour and I blocked in the main areas of shadow. But I later had the opacity switched on for pen pressure so that I could get various tones in between that and the base layer below. I didn't want to go too detailed because I didn't want to spend days on this piece or anything like that. I wanted some sort of magic effect as well coming from the Cheerios or the hula hoops or whatever you want to call them depending where you're from. I mean, there's infinite amount of things you could do for magic in Photoshop using various brushes and effects. Instead, I just decided to use some old texture brushes that I had. I think they're actually like grunge brushes that I downloaded years ago. I can't remember where from now, unfortunately. But I decided to just use those randomly to get some effects, put in some white swirls, use a soft brush as well. I didn't really spend too much time thinking about it, but I still thought it looked pretty good. And it was perfect for what I was after. With the sheets, I tried to include a little bit of shading, and I didn't go too detailed with the, the ripples or the folds of the sheet because that would take forever. And it was a little bit dark at first, so I lightened it in hopes that it would look a little bit like a silky sheet. I don't know whether I achieved that, but I'm not too fussed if not. And last of all, what I was doing here is just adding some more lighting, this time coming from the magic. I'm imagining this magic to be a light source and it's giving off a purple glow. So anything that is sort of facing towards that light, anything that would pick up a little bit of colour, especially in the areas that would have been shaded before, this shows up quite nicely. I could have probably taken this further and painted out the lines, but I only intended this to be a sketch at first, so I think I'd taken it far enough for me anyway, and I was really pleased with the way it turned out. So again, the prompt for this was an angelic sorceress wearing a corset, eating breakfast in bed. And I think that's what I got. Hopefully I've managed to get elements of each of those in there. So there she is, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. As always, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you thought to the piece. Let me know what you thought to the Draw with Jazza app. And let me know if you're interested in seeing more videos based around this. Whether it's more prompts like this, just doing different characters, or whether it's doing something custom to create our own monster. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure that you check out my social media links in the description box below, and don't forget to subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, everyone.